Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Brian. This is Starcastic Remarks, and you are watching the after game review of game number 79. I cannot believe we're at game number 79. Stars get the win tonight, although not exactly the way they would want to. They still get the points tonight. They win by a final score of 3-2 over the struggling Seattle Kraken to finish out the season. And we've got Christian here tonight wearing his what Dallas Stars shirt is that? I can't even see it.
It's my hockey puck off-brand shirt.
Oh, I like it. It's all about off-brand with you when you're in college, right? What's that? What's that
Oh
Dr.
yeah,
Pepper off-brand that you like?
Dr. B,
Dr.
ATB, 250 for 6. It's great.
Well, unlike your shirt and your Dr. Pepper, the Stars did not look fully off-brand tonight, except for the first period, kind of. So,
What are you
what
talking
did you
about?
think?
That was perfectly on brand for the Stars. I mean, the first period. I mean, I'm going to say they dominated them in the first period. I mean, they had like 7 scoring chances. The Kraken had 2. The Kraken scored on both their scoring chances, and the Stars scored on none. I can't think of anything more on brand than that.
Yeah, and again, I was afraid that if Seattle got a third goal that we wouldn't win this game because, like I think it was Chris. No, it was James. It was James. I almost said you said this, but it was James who said that we've only scored 2 goals in the last 6 games. So it's not a good thing if your opponent gets to 3 right now if you're the Dallas Stars. But biggest winner, biggest loser tonight, Chris. What did you think?
Biggest winner. I'm gonna give you the obvious one, and I'm gonna take the non-obvious one. I'm giving the biggest winner to Denis Gurianov. His first period was terrible. He sucked. I mean, the first goal is partially on him because he had a terrible turnover in the defensive zone that directly led to Klingberg taking that tripping call, which the Seattle technically didn't score on.
Going on at that point either for the Kraken at all. Period. Nothing.
Yeah, which they technically didn't score on, but they really did. So yeah, his first period sucked, and then he didn't have any offense. The second period rolls around, and all of a sudden I see him multiple times, forechecking hard, making good passes, being in the right position, making good shots, and he gets the assist on the huge game-winning goal. So hopefully this is a turning point for Gurianov and him getting back to actually playing hard. But I'll give the biggest winner to Gurianov for this one tonight. And you can take the obvious one.
Obviously, I'll do the obvious one, and then I'll do another one of someone who I thought had a really good game. But obviously, it's Roope Hintz. I mean, you can't really say enough about the guy. We've recently been talking about how Robertson is severely underrated in the league right now. He's known, but he's not known as a superstar. He should be, but Roope Hintz is right up there with him, and he deserves just as much credit, if not more, than Robertson over the course of the past 5 weeks, especially. So I think he's had 14 goals in 19 games, as of recent. And both of those guys alone, I think they've scored 8 of the last 11 goals or something like that before this game tonight. So, and now it's like 10 to the last 16. So still it's insane what those two guys are able to do and how much pressure are on those 2 guys to score. And yet they still are able to find a way to respond to that pressure. So, I mean, he's my biggest winner.
And just his hockey skills too. Like we talk about how Robertson doesn't have like one great hockey skill, which I think it's shooting now. But we talk about that. Hintz has like a ton. He is so fast. He has a great shot. He has great vision on the ice. He is an all-around hockey player. And that's why I was talking about at the beginning of the season how he could be an amazing star in the league, and I still think he could. I'm just waiting for him to kick it into another level.
I'll give my other biggest winner to someone who is not as noticeable and has not had a good season, but he had a really good game tonight. I noticed him a lot. Yoel Kiviranta. Kiviranta had an absolutely excellent game tonight. Now, I know he didn't get on the scoreboard like we would want him to, because we would want him to be kind of a middle 6 guy who can kind of pitch in every once in a while. But he just had an extra level to his game tonight that most of the Stars did not have, other than the first line. So, I mean, there was about 4 or 5 different times when I wrote down his name and it was when it came to like a big shot or a big chance for him or a good defensive play or something like that. He just had a very good overall all-around game.
And his stats prove it. He had 5 shots on goal. That's second on the team for forwards behind Robertson, who had 7, which is crazy. He had 3 hits, which I've loved him forechecking and throwing the body and stuff. Mm-hmm. He had 16 minutes of time on ice. That tops.
That's a lot for him.
Jamie Benn, Michael Raffl, and nope, doesn't top Sagan because Sagan likes to stay on the ice. But it also tops the game-winning goal scorer, Vladislav Domestikov, who only had 7 minutes time on ice. It just feels like whoever gets the game-winning goal is not going to play very much at all. It's crazy. But whatever.
Well, how did you feel about Michael Raffl on that second line? That's something I hated about. Really? Because I thought the line played really good tonight overall. I know they didn't get any scoring chances or anything like that. But
I disagree mightily. No, they didn't get any scoring chances. That's a huge red flag. They're supposed to be a second line, and they had no scoring chances.
I thought Sagan had a good game.
No, they were -1 on the night. I mean, they let in another goal.
I still think he had a good game tonight. He had a lot of chances and a lot of shots. So that was me.
He had 3 shots. He played better. He played 1 shot better.
So
I disagree. They're just not playing good. We're still winning in spite of them.
Still winning in spite of the second line. That sounds familiar. What would you feel about putting Kiviranta on that line just as a reward for how he played tonight against the Golden Knights?
I'd be fine with that, but honestly, I like the line he played on. So I don't know. I think honestly, what needs to happen is if Radulov's not hurt, which I'm not for sure of now that he was scratched 2 games in a row. If he's not hurt, then I'd say just throw him on there. Say, y'all were the core of this team. It's on y'all to figure it out. Because, like, those are the guys who have been together the longest, who were the offense. And, like, this is their last chance together. Because Radulov is gone at least next year. And who knows what's going to happen with Ben and Sagan. So, I'd say put it on them and make them do something.
Yeah, but I disagree. I don't think Radulov's the answer to that line.
I don't know if he's the answer, but I think it's worth it for old time's sake, because nothing is the answer. We have tried 5 different guys on that line, and nothing has happened.
Not with this big of a game, and the fact that every time you've put them together, the last time he tried to put those 3 guys together, well, maybe not the last time, but it was several months ago, he put those 3 guys together and they allowed 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game. So
I just 3 goals last game and 1 goal this game. So I'm not sure how much worse it can get.
Well, I just don't think that I don't think that's the answer. I mean, I would rather put Studenic in there before you put in Radulov, but that's just me. Just me.
Raffl, so. Studenic has been in there.
but again, you know that Kiviranta I don't think has been tried on that second line.
He hasn't, but I mean, it's just going to be a revolving door.
Right, and I mean, maybe something sticks. And I mean, if there's a game where something needs to stick, it's the game on Tuesday.
Yeah. And what that means is, if it's a revolving door, that means it's not the person who's revolving's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, like, they got to find a bone, and they're not finding anything.
Well, who was your biggest loser for tonight, Chris?
Biggest loser, I'm going to be like you, and I'm going to go a little bit abstract with this one. Okay. The biggest loser, and I stole this from James too, and it's in a text message chat. The Stars' biggest loser is expected goals. The advanced analytic expected goals. We are, what is it, top 5, top 10 in the league in top expected 5. Goals?
We're 5th.
And yeah, we're 5th in expected goals. And what are we in goals for? 16th. That's insane. And, like, that was so obvious in the first period. I already talked about it. We should have scored 5 goals in the first period. And we lose the period 2-0.
I think part of it was unluckiness, and part of it was also just not finishing as well. And it's amazing because we have all the finished players in the world. We should be finishing, but we're not.
We need more.
Sorry, dad joke of the night. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. I didn't really prepare for this one for the biggest loser, but If I had to think who the biggest loser was, it's probably Radulov because they're playing about the same without him. You know, they get the win tonight. So
I like that one.
I mean, he's not even in the game, and he's the biggest loser in my opinion. I guess I don't know, but
I like that one.
It's just unfortunate that a guy who played so well at the beginning of his contract for the first 3 years, and now he's really taken a step back in every form of the word when it comes to taking a step back offensively and defensively, and he's
Yeah,
taking stupid penalties, and
he's fallen off a cliff. He hasn't taken a step back. Well, maybe he did. Maybe he took a step back and off a cliff.
Yeah, so he was facing the correct way, and he just took a step backwards.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. But anyways, that's my biggest loser for tonight because we really could use him, the old Radulov, and he just hasn't shown up this year. And I'll do one more big winner because he deserves credit for tonight's game. Is Jay Gottinger? Jay Gottinger had a really good game tonight too. After giving up 2, goals that I don't really blame him on. They were tips in front. It got redirected. He didn't let anything else past him, and the Stars in general played better in front of him as well. So I think he's another guy who, especially that glove save where he's basically on his belly. I forgot who it was on the side. I think it was might have been Poyat or Ryan Donato there in the third period where he made a huge save, and that kept the Stars up 3-2. We got the goals we needed in the second period, and then Otter stood his ground when he needed to make a big save in the third. So we really rode him in the third period. So anyways, anything else before we get into the game summary tonight?
The third period sucked. I mean, for the first 2 periods being so good, the third period was awful. I mean, I hate us turtling on 1-goal leads, and we've done it all season. The Kraken really should have tied it up there. I'm not really sure how they didn't, but
because they're the Seattle Kraken,
won, I guess.
And we finally figure out Drieger, for goodness sakes. It's like the guy had the Stars number. I think his goals against average coming in tonight's game against the Stars was like a 1.39 or something like that. There was some statistic that I heard at the beginning of the broadcast that Razor mentioned, and I was like, geez, it's really good. It's just like some goalies have the numbers of certain teams, and Drieger has our number for some reason. Now, tonight, we are able to overcome that, which is a good thing. So, in 2 ways, let's get into some of the game summary tonight. Early on, Kiviranta with an early chance after the big rig. Mr. Jamie Alexiak turns it over. Harley had a shot. And then right at 17-12 in the first period, it appears that Joe Pavelski scores. It would be overturned due to a Seattle coach's challenge for goaltender interference, and they actually win that challenge. Now, my view on that play, and I know you watched the video. I saw you commented on the NHL PR Twitter handle or whatever. I did not get a chance to watch it, but so maybe I can ask you this. What was their explanation for why that was turned over?
Their only explanation was Rope Hintz skated into the goalie. That was
Even though his ice was taken away by the defenseman?
Yeah, they made no mention of defenseman or anything.
Well, my thing is I don't think you could prove that there was goaltender interference, and I also don't think you can't prove that there wasn't goaltender interference. They called it a goal on the ice, and I thought that it wouldn't be confirmed that there wasn't goaltender interference, but I thought that it would stand. Just because, I mean, you couldn't call that goaltender interference. I didn't think it was because of the play of the Seattle Kraken defenseman in front. I don't know who it was in front that had hints like that, but I thought it was a goal. And it would unfortunately be a drastic difference as the game would go along. But so obviously you think that was a goal, correct? You should have counted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stuff that is allowed to go in and count as a goal, and then this isn't, is absolute bullcrap. I mean, he's obviously being glided into the goaltender by the defender. Could he have made a bigger effort to get out of the way? Maybe. But then you would have called a penalty on him for holding or whatever on the defender. And we've literally seen players move goaltenders' gloves out of the way with their stick. And that's not? Like, how is this guy being pushed in by a defender, goaltender interference, and whacking the goalie's glove with your stick, not goaltender interference? I'll go into the kick too. The kick all season has been ridiculous. Kicking is just allowed in the NHL now, and then every once in a blue moon they decide that the kick isn't allowed. Like these rules that really determine what goals are allowed and what aren't are going to be a big deal when we go into the playoffs. There's going to be a big goal that happens that is either allowed or called off because these rules are not clear, and it's going to make the NHL look foolish. I mean, honestly, I totally see that happening. And it's going to be a big deal, and a lot of people are going to be pissed off. But I mean, the GMs need to go into their whatever end of season meeting and need to make sure that these rules become clear, because right now it is not clear at all, and nobody knows the rule. It's like James said in the text message. It's literally would be better to just flip a coin right now for goaltender interference. Like, I mean, we don't know, so let's just flip a coin. So it's just ridiculous the way it's managed, and to call it goaltender interference when no one even knows the rule is just ridiculous. And I'm done on that.
So we both agree that it probably should have counted, not because they couldn't prove goaltender interference, but that, it should have just stood because they called it a goal on the ice. I didn't think there was enough to overturn it. But anyways, the game would continue. Miro would get a shot. So, I mean, obviously that goal comes off. And I wrote down the Stars have really come out shooting. I mean, at one point it was 7-0 in the first 3 minutes of the first period. So it's a perfect start for the Dallas Stars, other than the goal getting overturned. Sagan would have a chance, and it was very luckily blockered by Drieger. Drieger never saw it. It just happened to hit his blocker. And then this is where the turning point of the first period happens. We already talked about Gurianov turns the puck over. It leads to a Klingberg penalty, and then Seattle would go on the power play. And at this point, Seattle has no shots, and they've spent no time in the Dallas Stars zone at all, period. Zip, zilch, zero, nothing. It was a really good start to the penalty kill for the Stars, and there was some overpassing by Seattle that I thought they probably should have triggered the shot a little more. And then as the penalty is expiring, Riley Sheahan gets a rebound off a point shot. And it was just
Ryan. Okay, Ryan's gone. But anyway, we were talking about the power play that the Kraken had, and Ryan, are you back?
Sorry. Yep, I'm back.
Ryan's back. I'll talk about the power play that the Kraken had. So anyway, Gurianov has the puck, makes a terrible pass back into his own defensive zone. Which one is this? No, yeah, that was before the power play. Okay, now I'm back on it. So the Stars win a face-off cleanly in the defensive zone at the tail end of the Kraken power play. Wins it back to Hakanpää. Hakanpää rifles it into the bench. Just straight into the bench. No one around him. No reason for it to go into the bench. That leads to another Kraken offensive zone face-off off the power play. And then off of that face-off, they score the goal from the rebound right off of Otter, which, my goodness, like, so many bad plays. So many people made bad plays there. Gurianov makes a bad play to set up the turnover to begin with. Then Klingberg makes the bad play, tripping in his own zone. And then Hakanpää makes a bad play, rifling into his own bench. Like, 3 people are at fault for the goal. It's crazy.
I think it was more unfortunate than anything. Just, I mean, what are the chances?
So that's 3 bad plays right there.
I don't think so, because what are the chances that you have shot 7-0, you get a goal that most people think it should be counted a goal, it gets overturned. The one time the Kraken get into the zone, they force a penalty because Gurianov turns it over. And then the one face-off that Seattle wins, it happens to go into the back of the net. And it's a perfect rebound. Absolutely perfect rebound for Sheahan to get the goal. That was the most unfortunate thing, period.
Was there bad plays? Unfortunate, but the bad plays are there. They led to the goal. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, we don't deserve it. But there was 4, and I'll add another one. You didn't tie him up right in front of the net. I mean, I don't remember who that was in front of Otter, but you got to tie him up there, and he didn't do it. I think it was Hakanpää again. Now that I'm replaying it in my mind, but I mean, they start playing that, and it's an instant goal. Like, yeah, that's unfortunate, but you can't start playing that at all. Like, you have to take the lead whenever you have that much pressure. It doesn't matter if a goal is called back, and that's what it kind of felt like. That goal got called back, and I think they had a couple shots after it, but the momentum was gone there. And then the penalty kill just killed it.
Yeah, because we really thought we deserved to be up 1-0 at that point, and I thought so too. But nonetheless, Sheahan would get the goal from Larson and Alexiak, and it would be 1-0 Seattle. And then kind of a scary play here. About a minute later, Jamie gets kicked in the face by the edge of a skate. And thankfully, it wasn't like the sharp edge or anything. So nothing happens, but it was completely by accident. It was just a face-off, between Jamie and whoever the Seattle Kraken player was. But it was very scary because I was just like, oh, we can't lose Jamie Benn right now. We absolutely cannot.
I didn't even realize how close it was to being bad until I saw the replay.
It could have been a lot worse, yeah.
I thought it was just a high stick, and I was like, why is there no penalty? And then I saw he literally got kicked in the face. Like, that's nuts.
Well, and props to the refs for immediately calling the play and immediately stopping it, because it looked terrible. It looked bad. So anyways, right after that, the shots have sort of kind of evened up at 7-5 Dallas, but then I wrote they had started off 7-0, so Seattle had 5 shots of their own after that during the power play and then after it.
Yeah, pretty much that 5-minute segment after our goal got called back, the Kraken really played well there, and then after that, the Stars start playing really good again.
Geeky would have a really big hit on Nemesnikov, so that kind of worried me a little bit with Nemesnikov, getting in his first game back after missing 5. Hence, with an opportunity, is unable to put it home. And then I wrote Kiwi has been good. We kind of already talked about that a little bit. And again, Morgan Geeky sends it wide on a good chance, and Otter gets at least a piece of it with his glove, so he keeps it out. Seguin with a giant one-timer slap shot. My gosh. And a great save by Drieger there. And then about a minute after that, 5 minutes remaining in the period, Drieger had a giant save on Rope Hintz after a rebound chance. And at that point, with that particular save, I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Please don't do this to me. Please don't. That's literally what I wrote. I was like, please don't do this to me right now. I cannot handle the anxiety that I'm feeling right now as a Stars fan. And it would eventually get worse. But were you feeling that same sort of anxiety after that giant save on Hintz?
Oh, yeah. Right after our goal got called back, I was like, here we go again. It felt like a perfect Stars game to lose. I'm glad we figured it out in the second period. But, boy, that first period was like the epitome of everything Dallas hockey.
Mm-hmm. Right after that giant save by Drieger, there's a 2-on-1 by Dallas. Robo is actually the one that is on the ice there with Pavelski. He chooses to shoot. Drieger makes a really good save and defiantly stands there and says, no, you're not going to score. Kuhlman had a really, really good opportunity there. Otter would make the save there. And then, again, it's like these late goals or these really early goals. Gord would have a tip from a Poyot point shot, and that would make it 2-0 Seattle in a game that I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. They absolutely don't even deserve to be up 1-0. Nonetheless, 2-0. And
this one was totally against the pace of play, too. I mean, the Stars were barreling all over them. The Kraken were in the zone for like 20 seconds, and it was in the back of our net. I mean, it was a great tip by Yanni Gord. That was honestly nuts to redirect it in the direction it did, too. It was like, how does that even happen? But that's the more unfortunate one that I think, because we were playing good to that point. But after that goal, boy, I didn't think we were coming back. I was on the same boat as you. I was like, we're not getting more than 2 goals.
And I don't know if you saw one of the tweets by, I can't remember. I think it was Ben at Stars Countdown on Twitter. He wrote that the Stars' chances of making the playoffs dropped 13% in one period after being down 2-0 to the Seattle Kraken. And I'm just like, oh no. We were at 59% at that point. 59%. I'm like, oh man.
We talk about how bad it is to be Stars fans and stuff, and like how we hate being on the bubble. But it's so fun being on the bubble too, just because how much everything counts in the end. It's so fun. Move along. Hockey's fun. Duh.
Well, at the end of the first period, the shots were 12-9 in favor of the Stars. And then this is my take from the first period. Dallas was the better team by far throughout the first period, but again, no goals, and Seattle was opportunistic. That was the perfect word that I thought would explain the first period. And then the only other thing that I could point out that the Stars did wrong was that they took a penalty at the absolute wrong time. That's all. That's the only thing I could think of. But even then, it should have been like 100% called off. So I don't know, but that was just me. What did you think about the first period?
I mean, we just can't allow goals like that, and we have to score on our chances. Like the Yanni Gourde goal, honestly, like that one was going to happen no matter what was going on in the game, just because of how against the pace of play it was and everything. Like those just happen sometimes. But the Riley Sheehan goal can't happen. I mean, I talked about the 4 different ways we could have stopped it before the shot was even made. And you've got to score on your chances. I mean, we already talked about the expected goals thing. It's unbelievable. And it comes down to individual stuff. And right now, I think the reason our first line is so good is because we reached those expected goals by the first line. And then everybody else on our team just says no. It's crazy.
So, hey, by the way, Chris, while I'm talking about the second period here, why don't you go ahead and look up that stat about the expected goals? Because I'm very curious to see which teams are around us there. Because I bet you there's some pretty good teams there. And I'd be Florida, I would expect Florida to probably be up there in the top 10. But just see if you can find it real quick. And then we'll keep going with the second period here. So here in the second period, it looks like they're acting like they've already lost. And that's just the body language that I got from the Stars within the first minute of the second period. That's just how I felt about it. 18 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the second. I thought this was absolutely huge. Otter with 2 really big pad saves on Ryan Donato to keep the game 2-0. And without that save by Otter there, this game could have been 3-0, and then we really would have been screwed. So Otter with a really good opportunity to keep the Stars in it. And then about 15 minutes, 46 seconds, Robo would have a chance on the doorstep, but there was no goal. It was like 1 versus 4. And then I put within the first 5 minutes, the Kraken have controlled the second period 100%. Throughout the second period, the Kraken had controlled the first 5 minutes of the period. 13:39, Pavelski would take a shot from Hintz after a Seattle turnover. It was a great shot by him. It was even better saved by Drager. And then finally, it always seems like the Stars just need one goal, to get it going and get us in the lead. Robo would do that for us. It appears it's Robo's goal, but later it would be Hintz's goal. But Hintz would score from Robertson after Miro beats the Seattle forecheck down in the defensive zone, and Pavelski with an excellent secondary assist pass there. And that cuts the lead of the Seattle Kraken to 1. So it's 2-1 Seattle at this point. Chris, what did you think about that particular goal, and how big was that goal for the Dallas Stars there?
I mean, that goal was huge. And before that, too, we were just, at that point, that line started it, and they were all over the Kraken. And right after that goal, it was just downhill from there. I mean, that period, that just showed how good our team can be overall. And how good that first line can be, because they were out there every other shift at that point.
And I mean, it almost looked like they were being double shifted, like every other time in the second period. So, anyways, 11:41 remaining in the second period. Excuse me, I almost said the first period. Gary with a huge chance, and then Kiwi with a chance as well. So Kiwi Ranta, that's the third time I've mentioned his name when it comes to offensive opportunities in this game. And then 10 seconds after those 2 big chances by those 2 guys, Dallas would go on the power play, their first power play of the game. Pouliot would take the penalty, and it doesn't take long. 11:02 remaining in the second. Hintz with the power play goal off the rush. He gets his 37th of the year, because that very first goal is as well. And the dude can just skate. He could just absolutely skate. He's one of the elite skaters in the NHL. I arguably think that he's just as fast, if not faster, than Connor McDavid when it comes to that sort of thing. and it ties the game 2-2, and the American Airlines Center is just absolutely rocking at this point. How big was that goal for the Dallas Stars?
That goal was nuts. And that one, oh my gosh, that was just Rope Hintz just taking the game into his own hands. I mean, the first one, he gets totally hooked and should have been a penalty shot. He gets nothing called by the ref, glares him down immediately in his face as the play is still going on, circles back around, does the exact same thing, gets the exact same chance, and then just scores in the ref's face. It was great. I loved it. I mean, that kind of just swagger was awesome from him.
Yeah, he has all the confidence in the world right now. But I'm going to go all the way back to the two huge giant saves by Otter on Ryan Donato there 2 minutes into the second period. I thought that was huge because I thought that was going to go into the net. I honestly did. So I'm glad it didn't. But, Otter takes care of business in one end. Hintz takes care of business in the other. And then also, I think that Otter got an assist on that second goal, if I remember correctly, right?
He did.
So he's doing a little bit of everything here tonight.
Better than Ben and Sadie in the last 6 games.
Right.
More points.
Right. And then Gord, Yanni Gord, which I love the guy. He's such a great player. Yanni Gord would get a high tip on Otter, and it was a better save by Otter there. 19-12 remaining. Vince Dunn, formerly of the St. Louis Blues, would shoot wide. Shots at this point are 21-15 Dallas. So Otter, making sure that he's keeping his team in the game, and Dallas starting to pull away in the shot department. Right after I wrote that down, finally the Stars take the lead in a game that I thought we deserved to be up in. Gary Onoff would make up for that first goal that Seattle would score by forcing a turnover in the offensive zone, passes it directly in front. Beautiful pass, and Vladimir Nemestikov would score in his first game back after missing 5. Great play, great shot overall. What'd you think?
I mean, that was awesome. And I mean, that whole set there was just Gurianov playing a lot better. I thought Nemestikov was great during that downhill stretch too, and it's finally good to get goals from someone other than the first line, really. Like, just anybody.
And this is just a sudden realization that I'm gaining, but, there have been a lot of players that the Stars have had that have kind of reimagined themselves and what their role would be with the Stars. Like, for the longest time, we thought Radek Faksa would be our second line center, right? He had all the offensive capabilities and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he didn't turn out that way, but he's a very good checking line center, and he can shut down the other team's, top players. Maybe that's something that Gary Onoff needs to do, because what I'm starting to realize more with Gary Onoff is that he is able to make some great passes. I mean, we've seen some great passes from him this season, and maybe that's just something that he needs to focus on more. And maybe he just needs to turn into a playmaker rather than the sniper that we saw a couple of years ago, because obviously it's not working. And
no,
maybe I'm just being crazy, but tonight that pass, it was a great pass, and we've seen it numerous times this season where he's made great passes and other guys.
Well, he's also made the most idiotic passes in the entire world too, to lead directly to turnovers in his own zone. So no, that's wrong.
Okay,
Gary's only good skills is skating and shooting. His worst skill is his hockey IQ. Like, literally, he just does the dumbest stuff for no reason sometimes.
Yeah, defensive awareness especially.
Yeah, what he needs to do is he needs to park his butt in the offensive zone, wait till he gets the puck, and he needs to shoot it. And whenever he has the puck in the neutral zone, he just needs to skate forward. That's it. He'll be such a better player.
Well, right after that goal that Vlad Nemestikov scores, which we should give him a lot more credit for that goal, because it was a great shot. It was 5-hole. I think almost all 3 goals were 5-hole. I think the last 2 definitely were. I know that for sure. I need to remember the first one.
The first one, there was no goalie in the net, so
okay, I guess that doesn't really count. Yeah. Okay, but anyways, 5-hole would work for the Stars here tonight. But there was a good stick by Klinger. Robo would have a shot swallowed by Drieger. There was a really good save by Otter, and Razor called it an artful kick. And then it's announced in the American Airlines Center that Pavelski gets his 500th career assist on the first Hintz goal. So good for Pavelski to hit that milestone for him. Fox would first force a turnover. Glendening would take a shot, and then Fox tried to force it in off to the side. A couple of good shots there. And then at the end of the period, shots are 26-18 in favor of Dallas. And I thought the effort from Dallas in the second was ramped up there. And I thought it was an excellent period. I thought it was better than the first, and the first period was really good. So what did you think of the Stars' play overall in the second?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you there. It was better than the first, and the first was already good. I really liked the way that they built on the momentum they had, and they kept rolling. The only thing I wished is after the third goal, they kind of let off the gas a little, and I wanted them to kind of keep that same momentum, which I know is hard to do. They had done it for 5 minutes straight, so. But I mean, if you can keep that going and just pile it on, you can just win it in the second and not deal with the stressful third period that we're going to talk about.
Now, the other thing we should mention is the fact that the Stars did not have a very good travel from Calgary. That's something I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the game, but they did not get into Dallas until 3:30 this morning. So they're obviously, I mean, Seattle got to Dallas before Dallas got to Dallas, that's pretty rough. So there was no morning skate, obviously, because of the travel issues. And I need to remember this tweet. I think they had some issues in Phoenix or something like that with their plane or something. I need to go back and look that up, and I'll tweet it if I can find it later. But anyways, Stars playing really well despite being extremely tired and trying to take care of business. So in the third, Seattle is controlling the puck within the first 3 minutes. Raffl would draw a slashing penalty, would put the Stars on the power play for the second time. Not really much comes of that, but they do take 2.2 minutes off the clock. And I mean, Garyanov would have a shot in the slot there. Robertson would have a shot by himself. And again, it's 1 versus 4, so he's not able to get a shot off. Shots are 29-25 at this point, so they're getting closer in the shot department with about 10 minutes remaining. Kiwi with another great chance there. Drigger would make the save off his glove. Otter with an enormous save on Victor Rask. And this is the biggest save of all of them tonight. And we talk about, when we were in the Niemi Lettinen phase, when we had both of those guys and, spending $10 million on goaltenders like that we wouldn't get those timely saves from either one of those two guys. And Otter tonight, he's had his rough patches over the past couple of months or so, but tonight he comes up with the biggest save at the most opportune time. So really, really, really big, enormous save there. It would go 4-on-4. Colin and Suter would take penalties for roughing after hugging and stuff like that in front of Jay Gottinger. But Drigger would rob Robo by himself in the slot. Extended time in the Dallas zone in the last 5 minutes of the period, getting very physical, very noticeable from both teams. And I thought the 6-on-5 for Dallas was actually okay. It was not as bad as it's been. It wasn't fantastic, but it's better than it was. And
it
Stars
wasn't
were
as
able
long
to pull
as it
out
should have been either.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, what were you
saying? It
saying?
wasn't as long as it should have been. The Kraken just didn't pull their goalie for whatever reason.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I saw was like, I think it was like 3.5 minutes remaining in the period. And the Kraken, the Stars were playing good defense. They were keeping it towards the outside, and they were making sure they were getting their sticks in the lanes and stuff like that. But, they had extended time, and they didn't pull Drigger at all. And they didn't do that until the Stars finally got it out of the zone with 1.5 minutes remaining. So I thought that was a really dumb decision by Dave Hackstall there, the Seattle coach. But, it's in favor of the Stars there, so I'm happy about it. What did you think about tonight's game, Chris? And then we'll talk a little bit about how big the Vegas game will be.
Overall, I thought the game was good. We got unfortunate and made bad plays in the first period and didn't bury chances, like we talked about all season. If we do that, we blow this team out. We would have won this game 5-0 very easily. But we're the Dallas Stars, and we can't do that, so I'm just happy we won.
Right. And again, we're the Dallas Stars, and this year we can't make it easy on ourselves. We can only win by 1 goal. That's the way that it has to be.
And we can only win when our backs are literally against the wall. Speaking of, Tuesday.
Yep. All right, let's talk about Tuesday for a little bit because as important as this game was, it's nowhere even close to as important as the game will be on Tuesday. Vegas is only 4 points behind us. We're lucky to get the win tonight, but whether we make the playoffs is all the way up to is due to this game coming up on Tuesday.
And we could potentially clinch on Tuesday too. So the scenario for the Stars clinching on Tuesday is Vegas loses their game tomorrow, which is against let me pull it up, San Jose. Not likely. San Jose is not playing well, and they're all going to be on the second night of a back-to-back. But they could lose. Who knows? So Vegas would have to lose that game, and then we would beat Vegas in regulation. Then we would clinch.
That's insane.
Not likely, though, but if we beat Vegas on Tuesday, the likelihood of them catching us at that point is very low. Our final 2 games would be, or 3 games, is it? 2 or 3?
2.
2 games is against
Arizona
and Anaheim. So those are likely wins, and Vegas has at least one. They have the Lightning at least, and then who else? Tell me, Ryan.
I don't know. I don't know Vegas' schedule. I just know
the
they have
Lightning and somebody else.
It might be the Coyotes, actually.
The Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks. Okay.
Yeah. So after the game on Tuesday, both teams go right back and play against a bad team. We play against Arizona. They play against the Blackhawks. And then the Stars finish up their season against Anaheim. Vegas finishes up against the Blues. So that's the game that shouldn't be likely for them to win. We'll see. The Blues. So James talked about how the Blues might be resting players during that game, but it could have implications on home ice advantage. So
between them and the Wild, yeah.
Between them and the Wild. So hopefully it comes down to the wire and the Blues have to win it for home ice advantage. That would be nice.
Well, and what's funny is that as important as this game is, if we lose this game, we could possibly miss the playoffs. More than likely.
You really could.
And if we win the game, it's more likely that we get the first wild card spot. So, I mean, you have every single piece of motivation to win this game. And unfortunately, in Dallas Stars history, when it comes to these important games at the end of the season, we don't take advantage of it. And we've talked about it numerous times over the last couple of weeks. I believe it was 16-17 or 15-16 when the last game of the season, and I will remember it for the rest of my life, it was against the Minnesota Wild. All we had to do, and Minnesota was not making the playoffs. They were just playing spoiler. I forgot who made the playoffs in our place, but I'd have to look that up. But all we had to do was win the game, even in overtime, and we would have gone to the playoffs. And we weren't able to take advantage of that. So,
and let's look up real quick, because with the win tonight and the Nashville loss tonight to Tampa Bay, we tie Nashville for the first wild card spot, which we would play Calgary instead of Colorado, which is definitely a million billion times better.
Then Colorado, yes, agreed.
Looking at the Predators' remaining schedule, they lost tonight. They play again tomorrow against the Wild. So that should be a loss. Then that's their one game in hand, too. Remember, they have a game in hand on us. So that's it right there on the back-to-back. Then after that, they play on Tuesday against Calgary. Again, not an easy win. And then they play again on Thursday against the Avalanche. So they have a rough schedule to end the season on. So we're looking backwards and forwards right now. We could totally get caught by Vegas on Tuesday, and if we lose Tuesday, that is the worst possible thing that could happen, and we have a big chance of being out. And if we win on Tuesday,
we don't have our own destiny at that point if we lose on Tuesday.
Correct. We have to count on Vegas losing, and if we win on Tuesday, we might have the first wild card spot and be playing against the Flames, which I feel very good about. So it's crazy how much comes down on these 3 games might be more important than the first 4 games of the first round. I mean, honestly, it's kind of crazy to think about that.
It is insane to think about that, just because we circled this game weeks ago and said it might come down to this game, and we were right.
Months ago.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how Sorry, go ahead.
Tuesday's the season. I mean, Ardell said it. I mean, you win, you're in. You lose, you go home. Pretty much. I mean, it's not exactly that yet, but realistically, it really could be. And because of that, me and Ryan will be doing the watch along on Tuesday on THBN's YouTube channel. So if y'all aren't at the game or y'all don't have anybody to watch it with, come watch it with us. We will be screaming and yelling, and we will be giving period recaps as well as still doing the AJR after the game. It's going to be great.
Did you say AJR?
AGR.
I think you said AJR.
G's and J's are close.
Yeah, but it is what it is. All right. Anything else we need to talk about, Chris, tonight before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Okay,
GG, boys.
Yeah, I was about to say, where is it? Where is it? There was a comment that way back. We finally get to hear GG boys. I can't find it. There it is. Ardell saying, finally we get a GG boys. It's been a while.
It's been a while. GG boys.
It's been over a week, so we really, really, really need more of those GG boys. So
and we need it on Tuesday. Sarcastic remarks gear, everybody.
Yes. All right. Well, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Please go and check out sarcasticremarksshop.com, and you can directly support us that way by purchasing some of our merch options. Phase 1 is out right now. Please go and check that out. We'd really appreciate it. And I forgot to say it off the bat, but thanks again to DraftKings for being our sponsor for our podcast. Use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use their website or their app. And please also make sure that if you liked anything you saw or heard or whatever, that you leave a comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or just leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. That'd really help us out. And I think that's it. So
we'll
along
see
with
you
Chris,
on Tuesday.
Yep, we'll see you on Tuesday. Come hang out with us while we talk about whatever. So anyways, along with Chris, I'm Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good evening, afternoon, whenever you're listening. Bye.